So here we are. We're going to talk about Forensics 101. We're going to talk about the vocabulary and common phrases, use and comprehension. This is really just a chance to talk to the people that want to listen to this. It's a guide for everybody who's not familiar with frequently used words and phrases. It will help you guys kind of help get further in your work, whatever you're looking into. So I'm hoping it's helpful. So Greg, when you're ready, if you want to go to the next one. Thank you. So I can read this, but basically it's still a pep talk. It's saying some of the world's best people and most effective helpers are the people like you who are listening. You might be limited in your forensic education, but you care about the people who are victims of crime, and that's really important. So you're important to the cold case solving process, and oftentimes I feel like they don't treat people that way in the public, but we rely on you. You know, people in professional positions, they rely on the public to help. So you guys taking the time to watch the documentaries, go on Netflix, look into cases, want to get information like Sophia, you were saying. I mean, I feel like this is so important. So this will hopefully make you guys more effective and understand more. And on here with Greg and Sophia, guys, don't be afraid to ask any questions. I'll clarify things 1,000 times. It's hard at first to learn this stuff. So whenever you're ready, let's do it. All right, so to begin, the first thing that we're always taught, or we were taught in school rather, are the two basic things that help guide you. So the first is called Locard's exchange principle, and that's the idea that everywhere you go, you take a piece with you and you leave something behind. So that's exactly the idea when you have somebody and you say, oh, I've got no evidence and I've got no idea there's anything here. Your hair sheds naturally from your body. It's going to be at the place if you kill someone. So the idea is you take something with you and you leave something behind. Does that make sense? To you guys?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yep.
The next one's Occam's razor. Occam's razor is a principle that recommends you make no assumptions beyond what's necessary to find the answer. So the example I use here is if you find a body of a person who's 100 years old and there's no evidence they were harmed by someone else and no sign of suicide, if you apply Occam's razor, you're likely to know that this person died of old age or a natural cause. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're not going to be like, it's a shark attack on land, you know? That's just, yeah. So these are the principles that really guide like a lot of what we do. So whenever you're ready, Greg, so you can go to the next one. Okay, this is a really fun one for me because people throw around homicide and murder and manslaughter a lot, and they have no idea why charges come in, and they're like, oh, they killed someone, but it's manslaughter. And I'm like, no. So, all right, so homicide is very basically somebody killing somebody else. Like, no matter how it happens, one person just kills another. So for example, we know JonBenet Ramsey was a victim of homicide because he died at the hands of someone, we just don't know who. Murder is killing someone being well aware that you're murdering them and continuing to make them die on purpose. So the example there would be that Klebold and Harris of the Columbine shooting, they murdered their classmates in cold blood because they knew what they were doing. Manslaughter is different. Manslaughter is the intent to do something that's not kill anyone, but in the process of what you're doing, whether it's another crime or whether you're acting recklessly, you can take a life. So, for example, there was a while back where Matthew Broderick actually hit and killed 2 people in an accident. He was driving recklessly. He was kind of just being a jerk. He was in a bad mood. So he wasn't trying to kill anyone, but he was passionately upset about something, and he hit them and killed them, and he got manslaughter. So does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad, because I really worry about, like, explaining myself funny. Thank you. Are you sure you can ask anything you want? So don't be afraid.
Not everything sounds great so far.
Okay, thank you. Great, yeah, thank you. All right, so the next one is manner versus cause of death. This one I still mix up, and I've been doing this a long time, so don't be afraid. This one's a tough one. So a manner of death can be classified 5 ways. Some states have a 6th, and I would love to tell you what that is, but I don't know because none of the states I've ever worked in have it. But anyway, it explains how the actual method of how someone died can kill them. So it would be like homicide, suicide, natural, accidental, or undetermined. And typically when you're doing an autopsy or you're doing an investigation, you start with homicide every time because it's so much more common to happen. Even though you think like natural would be, it's not. You start with homicide and work your way back. So for example, if Rob Williams died of ligature strangulation, but his manner was ruled as a suicide, because by taking his own life, it was accomplished by that ligature strangulation, but it's a suicide, according to them. Then the cause of death is a specific thing that caused them to actually expire. So in this case, it would be like it's for strangulation because he used the valve. So they're not interchangeable, but I always get them mixed up. And they're wicked confusing for most people.
Yeah, that's a little.
Does that make sense at all? Or do you want me to try a different way? Or let me think. Oh, so okay, here's a good example. JonBenet Ramsey, she had 2 major injuries that could have killed her. So she was strangled with a garrote, and she was, it's a terrible thing to talk about, but she was also a blunt force trauma to her skull. So there was 2 ways she could have actually expired. But either way, it's a homicide. So the manner of death is a homicide because someone else did it. She didn't whack herself in the head, or twist the garrote. So it has to be a homicide. And then the cause of death for, I think initially, was the blow to the head. And then the garrote. I can't remember which order. But I don't know if that clears anything up.
Yes, that does, yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, but what's the 5th one?
There's 5. Homicide, suicide, natural, accidental, undetermined.
Right, but what is undetermined? What can...
Oh, sorry. Okay. Undetermined is when they literally have nothing. A lot of times you'll see this with drownings. Drownings are the most rare thing that are the hardest to prove because they have the most specific set of circumstances. So, like, if for drowning, you can drown, like, you can drown on dry land, you can drown in the water. So their drowning is one of those things that they'll often say is undetermined because they get down to the, you just saw homicidal drowning. Those happen, but they're very rare, I guess, even though I don't agree with that. I think they happen a lot. Suicide, things like that, they work their way down, and if they can't figure out what it is there, they have to say undetermined because you have to sign a death certificate within a certain amount of time for them to get paid and for the family to get closure and to bury and stuff. So undetermined is a way to say, like, we'll go back to it later and change it if we have to.
Would SIDS also qualify as this?
I'm sorry, what?
Would SIDS also qualify as undetermined?
Usually with SIDS, what they'll say natural or accidental, I think. I'm not 1,000% sure, but it's funny you ask because when I was a kid, I grew up in a house, and behind my house I had a cemetery, and I used to jog in there all the time. There was a little girl that was buried there, and she had SIDS, and it's weird because I didn't know how she died. I just used to go clean up her grave every time I was around. We keep it nice and all that. And I ran into her parents one day. And I remember her parents going, "Are you the one that keeps it up?" And I said, "Yeah, just when I jog by or whatever." And I remember talking to them about it because I didn't know what it was. This was when I was like 16 or 17. And if I remember correctly, when we talked about it, I want to say, and because we really got into this discussion, I want to say it fell under accidental, or maybe, yeah, because I think she accidentally stopped breathing, right? I think that's what it is. But maybe, I don't know, it's state to state, but I would say if it were, I'm not a doctor either, but I would guess that it would be accidental. I can find out for you. I don't write that down.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
a great question. Good call. Any other ones you want to find out about? That's a great question. Any other ones you can think of?
As of right now, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
All right.
But I'm sure others listening will have some questions.
Yeah, and I'll for sure find out about SIDS. That was a great question. Thank you for that. That's perfect, actually. Greg, do you have any ones you want me to look into?
Probably.
Oh,
go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead, Sophia.
Go for it.
No, I didn't quite hear I didn't hear her when she said your name.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
When you're ready, we can move on, or if you have questions, Greg, go for it.
No, I think we're good. We covered everything here. We covered the example. Okay. Yeah, I just asked because thinking about this David Crowley case, if it can't be a proven homicide, if it can't be a proven suicide, could it fall under undetermined? Or
Yes.
Is that
Yep. Because there's no way naturally that they're going to get shot like that. There's no way. And that's not natural anyway. It's a bullet. It's man-made. And then accidental, I'm sorry, but if all 3 of you happen to fall on this gun that shoots you in the head the way it does, I'm sorry. That's like way too unlucky. You have to, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just saying that, it would have to be undetermined. But in this case here, I think that a lot of times, and I don't want to sound like a jerk, but a lot of times with suicide specifically, if they show up or they see something, right away they're thinking, oh, well, he probably had PTSD, even though they don't know the first thing about what military people go through or if he had we don't know. But a lot of them come in and they go, oh, and they assume it. Or if they see a note, they'll assume it's suicide before they do a full investigation because it's human nature with all the things they're overloaded with for them to just be like, it's got to be one of those. So undetermined actually only happens when you absolutely have to do undetermined and they hate to do it. And there's been cases I've worked on, like Chris Jenkins, who drowned. He actually was murdered, but they said he drowned accidentally in Minnesota, as a matter of fact. And it was Minneapolis, and he ended up. The parents got his death certificate changed to a homicide.
Wow.
So yeah, that's hard to. It's almost impossible, though. So I would guess that those two things would fall under undetermined if they couldn't say homicide or suicide. Yes, Greg.
So it would be curious. It'd be curious to see what is actually on the death certificate. What is on David's death certificate? Because I
would love to too, but they won't give it to me.
It should be a suicide, from what they're saying, right?
It should. His would technically, I believe, be suicide. And the other two, I remember looking at the investigational papers of the autopsy report, and I believe the other two were marked as homicide investigation, and I think they both were written as homicide, right? Yeah.
Correct. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's so weird to say about a child, too. It's like so like stomach churning. Oof. So anyway, yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one. All right, so modus operandi and signature. This one kills me too. And here's why, because I promise you this is an easier one to understand. But it's like one of those things that people just don't even think, like, go, oh, they're different. So modus operandi is something that you'll hear a lot when it comes to things that a killer does, that it has to do with the actual act of killing. These things actually change with time and with technology and with the tools they can use. I mean, somebody who starts off as a serial will often do stupid shit the first time they do it and be like, oh, next time I should have thought about it and brought a flashlight. So the modus operandi will be to go in with a flashlight next time. So like it becomes something that evolves, but for that example there, it doesn't work because it has nothing to do with the killing unless he uses it to bash their head in like a mag light. Okay, anyway. Sorry, this is tough. So, so basically, when you hear an MO is blank, you're not hearing that the MO is something that has to do with the actual killing, and it has to evolve over time. They don't stay the same. So, for example, with Ted Bundy, right? He got tired when he couldn't use his cast anymore to get girls. He couldn't get them, so he changed his MO to get victims, so he could actually pick them up and kill them by going to college bars and flirting with these girls. So that became his modus. But signature is something that actually has nothing to do with the death, and it never changes and has a meaning that we usually don't know, but we can like guess at, and then they might tell us. But things like this, so people didn't know for a long time that Ted Bundy bit all of his victims in the ass for whatever reason, whatever. I was like, what, dude, really? Teeth, dental? Like, okay. For smart dude. I mean, come on, you got to admit, like, what the fuck? So anyway,
that
was
a weird place.
That really
I
is.
know. And his teeth were so weird that he's like, I'm just going to bite him in the ass and not get caught. Like, what? Huh? What did you say? What are you laughing at?
Nothing. That's nasty. It's gross.
I know it is.
Yes, it is. I mean,
it is gross. That's how they caught him, though, you know. That's how they got him.
Usually we hear of somebody biting after they're, like, murdered somebody. It's, like, the best area.
Yeah, you want to get the fuck out of there. You're not going to stick around and bite their butt. And, like,
yes.
Right? Honestly. And, like, I don't get it.
It's a
I don't get it.
quirk.
Yeah, and his teeth matched this, like, weird teeth pattern. And the guy who did the dentals was so funny, because if you watch the original trials, the guy who did the dentals was like, I'm sure these are his teeth. Like, have you seen his teeth, dude? They're messed up. These are his teeth, case closed, and that's how he got convicted. But that would be his signature, because it actually never changes. It's something you do in every single case, but it can actually kill them. Does that make sense a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they can choose if they're toothfish, yeah, things like that.
Would a copycat fall under that, too?
Well, it depends on the copycat's behavior, I think.
I guess the copycat.
What?
No, go ahead.
What did you say? Huh?
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, it depends on what
you're
doing.
Yeah, I would guess that, like, that copycat part might be part of the signature, like they're copying it on purpose, and it doesn't have to do with the killing itself, but they'll do it, like, every time they're copycatting, right? So their modus operandi just wouldn't be the same thing. It would be their signature to copycat, I would guess.
Okay.
You know, that's a great question, too. You guys are really coming at it, girl tonight. Yeah. All right, so, oh, God, this one. Hopefully this one's a quick one.
Favorite. Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Okay, this makes me mad because the CSI effect killed me. So the DNA match. Okay, so attention, everybody. You can never match DNA ever. It's like never. So DNA is something you use to exclude people and their genetic makeup or markers from a pool of suspects or any individual you're looking to identify. So you can never actually match it because there's so many alleles and so many pieces of the genes and stuff that go into it that the code goes on forever. So they can't sit there and do that or we solve nothing. But if you're on a witness stand or you hear somebody on a witness stand that's a good medical examiner or a good forensic pathologist, they will say the DNA was, the chances of these two pieces of DNA or this piece would belong to someone else that's here on the planet is 11,751,922 to 1. Mm-hmm. And that's how you know it's basically a match, but you can't say it's a match. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is very curious when you look at the BCA lab, the 40-page documents that show David Crowley's, what the DNA is, because it is kind of phrased weird like that. But you talk about this 99.9%. Why would they put that on some of the DNA tests, but not on all of them? So some of the things say, well, go ahead.
No, I don't understand. I'm not understanding. Go back to that last page real quick and ask me again because I'm not getting it.
So looking at David's...
They'll say like 99... It rules out 99-point-something% of the population.
That might be the way they're wording it in that state, yes. That would make sense because it's really ruling out. Think about the number I just threw out there, like for fun. It really is ruling them out to an X amount of degree, but notice they didn't say it's a match, did they?
But why do they only say that for some of these things? They don't say that for everything. Why don't they use
Because it's DNA we're talking about, not everything, not every test. We're talking about DNA stuff.
Okay. Does that mean that they found more DNA on one item that they could rule out 99.9% of the general population?
They probably only had so many pieces of the they had so many bars of the what's it called? Now I'm going to forget. You know how like when you see the bands that are on DNA and you look at them, if you don't have enough of a sample or it gets degraded or it gets diluted or they use too much of it in a given situation, a lot of times that's why they won't have as many things they could match. So think of it as like an ever-ending, like rungs of a ladder, right? If you only have the top half of that ladder, you can only eliminate so much. The longer and more you have, I'm guessing, is why they can eliminate more. Does that make sense?
I was wondering if DNA would degrade, like, okay, for instance, they're there, the police say that they're there for 3 weeks. It would degrade to a point to where they couldn't get a decent enough test?
Oh, no. That's a good question. That's a good question, but no. They have so much blood at that scene, dude. If they couldn't get a sample that was big enough for everything, then that would be a laughable joke. Is that what you guys were talking about, is all the blood at that scene?
Yeah.
Oh, God, no. That makes no sense to me. But I'm not a doctor, but it makes no sense to me personally if that's what you guys meant, because there's blood everywhere. We still don't even know who the frig it belongs to because the way they match everything. They do it like... So I don't know if Greg went into it with you, Sophia, but they basically like go through and the way they match everybody to their stuff in the morgue is really bizarre. Like weird. It's just like, I know they don't have teeth or they didn't have like fingers. A lot of times they don't have the fingerprints. I get it, but they're using circumstantial things to match it, which I thought was a little strange when they have like tattoos and stuff. And like they mentioned that at one point. But Rania, for example, like they didn't say like, okay, we're just going to take the two of these people's DNA and see if it matches her DNA. They didn't say they're sending that test out. At least I didn't see it. If you guys found it, great. What I found was that it must have been either a photograph ID, I'm guessing, or they were just like, well, she's got to be the one that's there because we know there's 3 people in that house and they have a baby. So, like, they might have done it like that for all we know, which is ridiculously wrong. But if they have that...
Well, they didn't even ask the family.
What do you mean they didn't ask the family?
Yeah. They didn't ask the family
to ID them?
No, and they didn't ask friends either. That's the thing.
Well, they couldn't ID the bodies of Camilla and David. They were bad. There was nobody, I mean, a tattoo they can take a picture of and show you. They're not going to bring you in to see what happened to them. It wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be right. Honestly, that would be terrible. But with Rania, I would think that they would at least, like, if she had no defining marks, obviously no tattoos, then if they could positively identify Camille and David first based on things like tattoos, which I'm not sure if that's what they did, I think they might have, then they can go back and test that DNA and then say that it's her that matches the two sides of DNA. But that takes longer than I think they gave this report, which bothers me. Does that make sense?
Yes. There's actually some things I would like to speak with you off the record about.
Yeah, whatever you want.
When we're done with it. Okay.
Yep, and what I
Thank
don't
you.
know, I'll get you answers for, okay?
But I would like for you to please look at the DNA report in this case because you'll see exactly why Greg and I have certain questions.
Yeah, I think I've read through this and but I get confused with when they start throwing all those numbers at you, you're like exhausted. But you know how it is. I mean, but I look at them like all day. So if you have a chance actually off here to send them the specific ones you want to look at, that would be a conversation we could definitely have. And I'll do my best to help.
Sounds great.
Oh, Sophia, anytime. So whenever you're ready, Greg, we can go to mens rea, which is one of my favorites. So mens rea literally in Latin means guilty mind. So I know this is going to sound like a terrible example, and I'm going to get a lot of shit. And my wife was like, "Do not say this." But the truth is when it comes to something like a statutory, like an underage sex thing, right? There are a lot of girls, for example, who go out and they might lie about their age or bring a fake ID, and a guy might have sex with them and think, "Okay, well they're just of age girls, I'm going to bang, whatever." But he couldn't have committed an actual crime because you have to have mens rea to do that. He didn't mean to. He slept with a girl that convinced him she was a different age. If he had gone in there and been like, "I'm at a kindergarten picking up chicks," that's mens rea. So I hope that's an easy one, but I'm not sure. Fair enough.
I've never heard it like that. Yeah.
Well, that's really inappropriate for me to be like, "It's walking to a kindergarten. Hey, what's going on? Finger painting? That sounds great." Like, obviously, that's not like something that like, you know what I mean? But I'm saying that's different. That's mens rea. He's going in there to commit a crime. But if he's out with the girl, which happens a lot of the time, and I'm not blaming the girl. Obviously, I'm not. But it's one of those things where it could be the other way around, too. I mean, there are guys that do the same thing, and they look older, and they don't tell the person they have a fake ID that backs them up. So there's actually no crime because there's no mens rea. So they're not trying to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, that one was an easy one, I feel like, for me anyway. All right. So, okay, probable versus possible, because this is easy when you stop a second and like think about the words themselves. But you have to really give yourself like a chance to go, okay, you can answer these things, and so like a Crowley case. You could sit there all day and go, this could have happened, that could have happened, but what's the most probable thing that you can think of? Because Occam's razor tells you. You don't want to make too many excuses. So I give an example here, and it's funny if I did this because my wife and I are going to the beach next week, and she's terrified of sharks for no reason. So she just goes, "I'm not." She's listening. Screw you. All right, so it says a person dies of a heart attack in the water at the beach. Yes, they could have been a shark attack victim, right? They could have been. But if the ocean's temperature, the sharks gravitate to matches, and maybe there's a record of shark visits, you could consider it probable or even possible. But with indicators that you're seeing where there's no blood in the water, no eyewitnesses watching it eaten or anything, it was probable that it was something else. You know what I mean? So you can pretty much make anything a possibility, but is it probable is what you have to ask yourself. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Next one. All right. Oh, okay, we're going to go over types of evidence. So types of evidence are really important because in a court of law, especially, you've got to know what you're going in with. And when you are pressing charges against someone or going in a grand jury, you want to make sure you have evidence that you can go, no, this is like something I can stand behind. We'll get to the next, in the next slide, I'm going to talk about circumstantial evidence, which is kind of the crappiest one, but can convict people. So first is latent evidence. It's almost impossible. It's like invisible to the naked eye. It's hard to, I wrote hard to life. Wow. Now I'm tired. It's hard to lift it from places depending on the material it's left on. So like if you leave your print on something like a glass sink, like a kitchen sink or whatever, it's going to be easy to lift once you find it. But if you leave it on a wooden chair, wooden surfaces are porous. It's a lot harder. So for example, if they find it using like their techniques and stuff, they'll be able to lift it most likely, but it's naked. The human eye, you can't see it. So let me see. So the sink I used because of the case of Elaine Lettinen out in Napa, actually the only thing they found, she was a military veteran, she was amazing. And the only thing they found when she went missing was half a palm print on her sink. And it was something you could have never seen unless they went through it and really checked. There was not a single print in the house, and that's where she lived. like by herself. So trace evidence, that's something that can be used, analyzed, I can throw in color up there, I can barely read it, analyzed after collection and studied to provide a match to a perpetrator that's in mind or give you a specific lead to somebody in a pool. So trace evidence is something that they find later. So when you bring something to a lab, like say a blanket or something, and you want them to lift stuff off of it, and they put it in a little vial, and they shake it up, and they like dog hairs and stuff that's left behind but might barely be there, like dander from a cat. Something that's really microscopic. Soil samples are a good one because there's a lot of times people find out in solved cases because they'll take a body and kill them one place and move them to another to dispose, but underneath or on or in that body somewhere, they'll have the masking plant stuff and dirt from another location. So does that make sense? They can find that dirt and be like, oh, they weren't killed here. That's
That's
yes.
Not circumstantial. That's
no.
hardcore. Actually, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, no, I know. Because there's been people, so there was actually a woman, I'll give you a great example. There's a woman, a native up here in New England, who they found somewhere else, I can't remember where, but they said she's got to be from New England because of the tree spores we have up here in the certain trees that grow only in Massachusetts. Spores of the trees had landed on her clothing. And they were able to lift them, which I was like, holy miracle, Batman. And they lifted them, and I was like, oh, I wanted to go to that lab and hug someone. And then they brought them here, and they said, she's got to be from here. She's a Jane Doe. They said she's got to be from here because the tree spores are specific just to one area of Massachusetts.
So the
we're like,
trace
okay,
is,
that's awesome. Crazy, right?
So the trace is used to when you have a suspect or when you have a possible suspect. Is that?
Yeah, if you eventually end up with a suspect, it's something that can be listed, but you can't see it. Are you going to look to see tree spores on your clothing? No. But like when they take her sweater and they lift something off it and put it under a microscope and go, these are pollen spores from a tree that only grows in Boston in that 1 mile radius, which is how weirdly I was like, how come spores could like travel on the wind and shit? And they were like, yeah, but in this area there's only these trees. And I was like, that's dumb. I can't believe that's
crazy.
Thing. I know.
That's awesome.
And it was, unfortunately she's still a Jane Doe, but we got so much on this person, and when we find them, they're done. Yeah. So whenever you're ready, we can go to the next one.
Any questions on the latent stuff, Sophia?
Oh yeah, anything, yeah.
Not yet, but I am going to hold any questions for the future because I
need
have
to go.
Ask
me whenever you want. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. The latent is very interesting.
Okay. Whatever you need, honey. Whatever works. Yeah. Again, like I said, I'm not a doctor by any means, but this is how I've always understood it.
Play one on TV.
I have to play one on TV. I'm not a doctor. I just want to be but so if I'm explaining it wrong, so I invite anyone who does listen to this to come and correct me later. When we get to it on the one that's about Robin Williams again, I explained there's a few things that I had to tweak because I was like, oh shit, I should screwed that up, or very few things, but enough for me to be like, I'm going to apologize. All right, so evidence types: physical. Anything or object admissible in a court of law that shows with its clear physical characteristics something that's a fact. So the study of a bullet at a crime scene is done by a ballistic specialist. Labs look for matching striations on the bullet itself because there's marks made on it from the chamber of the gun when it exits. So it's an actual thing you can look at and say, if I fire a bullet from this gun here, because I did it, these two bullets have the same exact matches of striations on them. So that becomes physical evidence. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Circumstantial evidence is a bit. So evidence collected that's used in a court of law, but only if you have assumptions in place with it. And we know from the basics that we're not supposed to assume it's a lot. But many times people actually do that and get away with it. Everything not everything, because that's going to be the wrong. I was going to use the Casey Anthony thing because I hate her, but that's terrible. I'm not going to use it that way. All right, let's use my other example. All right, so 9mm weapon could be used to kill a paper boy, for example. In court, they charge someone and they bring him in, and they say, we know that you were living in the neighborhood at the time and you own a 9mm. But how many people in that neighborhood own one, right? It proves absolutely nothing. But if they didn't fire a bullet out of it to check that, for whatever reason they didn't, let's say they didn't, having just a 9mm one, you have to assume without the bullet checked that maybe it connects them. So that's weak evidence. It goes on stand, and if you can go to assume all you want and try to convince a jury, but that's up to them to interpret it. So a lot of times, if it's all circumstantial, people will throw out charges or it'll cause some problems. So I hope that makes sense.
It sounds like the bullet that they say killed David is would probably fall right under that, under circumstantial.
How do you know what bullets are? There's like 10,000 of them. I don't even know how to do that part of it. There's just so many shots all over the house. And I promise you guys I'm not stupid, but I've looked at the scene just from pictures and I'm like, this is a shit show. Like to the point where I'm like,
this bullet was found on when did they get the bullet, Greg? Was it the 17th of February?
They were notified about it on February 17th, and then they found it on February 18th.
Can we just take a second though and like go, maybe the bullet is a problem, but the fact that there were 2 people there on scene hanging out is what bothers me.
More than 2 people.
Well,
more than 2.
And not only that, but this bullet doesn't have blood or tissue on it whatsoever. But his DNA is found on it?
No, that can't kill him if it doesn't touch him. What do you mean?
It has his DNA. It's got his DNA.
It has his DNA, but it doesn't have blood or tissue. They said in the reports that it was.
Let me help you with that. I got it, guys. I got that one. So that's serology is something that people don't understand. We make serums in our body, and there's other things that come out of us that hold our DNA that are hard to see. So it doesn't have to have blood or tissue, just so you know, and that's tough to know. It doesn't have to have blood or tissue. It can have a serum on it that a serologist picks up, and it could match. But I think on the surface of a bullet, you'd have a very small sample. That would be the size sample I was talking about before, where it grades. But for that bullet to be there, if it was there and they found it later, I would be shocked if they found DNA on it still, especially because it's open. Was it like on the floor still, like months later?
It was embedded in the. It was in the attic, and it was in the.
That one. Oh, that one with no gunpowder either. That one, yeah. Mm-hmm. Now that makes sense. I didn't know that had DNA on it. That's a joke.
The one that was in the wall in the basement, that one did not have DNA on it.
I would hope not. I mean, when did they go downstairs? Like, if they did go downstairs, great. But there's so many bullets that are just thrown through the house that don't make sense to me. Like, they're not trying to shoot and missing the dog and hitting everybody else at close range. Mm-hmm. So I think they did that for confusion purposes, just because they could fire it off. I guarantee you they had silencers. I guarantee it. You guys, I'm like, I love you for remembering these things because there's so much going on there. I like get tired. God love you. I do.
Well, this case, I mean, you just sit there and you run it through your head over and over and over. Because so many things do not fit.
No,
and
they
so
don't.
It's like trying to put a puzzle together and you're missing 50% of the pieces.
Except I don't think you are. Honest to God, that's one thing that bothers me. This is when I get crazy and I take my moments and I'm learning to walk away because I get so mad when I know the pieces are there in front of my face, but I can't see them because they screwed everything up so much. Do you know what I mean? Like letting people go in there the next day and hang out, like, no, they don't have to go in there and hang out. Let's get the fuck out of there. What are they doing? Like, none of that made sense to me. And that's the kind of stuff that drives me crazy. So I look at it and I go over it in my mind and I go, there's so many pieces that are right there. And they were missed, I think, at the time, but they're in the photos. We're looking right at it, I think, a lot of it. So the next slide is on forensic specialties. So pathology is what, I didn't go to school for the medical knowledge. That's what I was going to do and then become an ME, but I didn't actually do that. So pathology is the forensic knowledge combined with medical knowledge, right? Anthropology is the recovery. I'm sorry, what?
Nothing. I was agreeing.
Okay. So I'm sorry, it's hard to hear sometimes. Anthropology is the recovery and study of human skeletal remains. Odontology is the study of unique teeth and dental patterns. That brings me to a great question. Do we know if they had an odontologist look at any of the teeth that were found outside of the mouth, which I think was most of them? Did they bring in an odontologist?
I don't see anything
honestly
about
don't.
that.
No, yeah, I
can
didn't
find out because they have to tell us that. I mean,
I don't see anything related to that.
Yeah,
but
because I know that
in the autopsies or the police reports.
I think it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. I don't think I read there was an odontologist.
Definitely not.
Because remember, I was mad about the whole. I was like, how did they do that? They had no teeth and no fingerprints. Remember, Greg, we had that conversation, and you were like, I think there's some teeth still left in the mouth, and I was like, but dental records like show where the teeth are positioned and like if they're broken or if they have fillings. Like for the teeth to be randomly strewn about. What?
Yeah, they got the dental records, but it's not clear how they got it.
But it's not going to be in their mouth. It's going to be in their mouth to show it. Do you know what I'm saying?
What do you mean, for the dead body?
The teeth wasn't in the body's mouth. So if you can't see how the teeth are laid out, I mean, you can assume one so-and-so, and you can check the root and get DNA, but it takes a while, and I don't think they really did anything like that thoroughly. Am I wrong?
You know, you have me second guessing now if there were any teeth in that mouth.
Yeah, remember? I was like, "There's no teeth there," and you were like, "There was teeth," and I was like, "No, there wasn't." And then people saying that, like,
there was teeth found at the scene.
Yeah, not in their mouths.
That's a good question.
And we never found out. Remember, I was wicked pissed when I first found out, and Sophia, I wonder what you think about this. I was wicked pissed when they were saying that the dog ate the teeth and was eating these large pieces of body and just digesting them. Like, bones come apart in a body, and you can't digest them. You'll die. Like, so teeth were, like, made crazy. And I don't know if they did feces samples for the dog or anything to see if teeth came out, but I mean, I don't think it's like corn. I don't know. Is it like corn? I check it out. Like, I don't know.
I still don't believe that poor dog ate every single bone that was at that scene that was missing.
How could you believe it?
And
you have to be a fool.
And we do not believe that feces tests were done on the dog, or any tests, in fact.
No tests were done on the dog at all?
Not that we're aware of.
That's weird.
In the reports, it says that they took him to the vet. They had him basically fed food and water, and that was it. They were nothing else to be done with that dog.
That's a round of applause right there, because why would they take care of another living thing that's traumatized? That makes me sick.
Right?
Honestly, that makes me sick. And you know what drives me crazy? I don't know if you saw it, but there's 2 large bags of dog food on the floor that he could rip open.
Didn't dig into them.
And I think people I talk to are like, oh, they'll eat their owner first, blah, blah. I was like, leave my cats for an extra hour at the gym, and they're pissed, and they jump, and they eat things that are nowhere near them. Like, don't tell me.
I have to.
A dog that wouldn't do it. Like,
I have to keep my bag of cat food in Tupperware because they dig into it. We had an extra bag that we got for free when we were at the grocery store. When when you buy something, you get something free.
Yep.
And it wasn't even the brand that they ate. And so we were just going to give it away or donate it. And they dug into it. They weren't even starving, and they dug into that bag.
Yep, and there was a water dispenser right next to it, where the dogs learn so quickly to get themselves water when they need it. And he goes to the toilet. Maybe it wasn't the brightest dog, but that thing, he could have easily drank from that. So I don't know, like, why they didn't, like, think about testing it for see if he drank out of it or anything like that. They're just like, oh, the toilet, clearly. It's like, guys, fuck. Entomology is a study of insects found in, around, or on their remains. This is a really interesting one. So one of the cases I work on is the drowning men. And the very first drowning man in 1997, everybody that was investigating it knew he had died not by drowning, because they found specific fleas in his pubic hair that are only able to hatch on land. So they knew his body had been kept, and that's why they were able to go to their big chief of police and be like, we're quitting, and here's why. Because you say it's a death in the water, but we know he was on land being kept alive and then dead for a bit. So entomology is actually a really useful science, like a really good one. People don't take advantage of it enough. Serology is a study of... Yep.
Oh, in this case, there's no mention of any insects whatsoever at the scene, and no mention of it in the autopsy reports either.
Right, because it's winter in Minnesota. I would guess they weren't about a lot. It didn't seem like they were out and about. I mean, I don't know, because I'm not from there. Have you ever been to Minnesota? Do you know anything about it? Oh. Well, I'm guessing it's just not the right time of year. The drowning man I was just talking about was actually killed, and it's funny to say that they're usually killed in winter, but he was recovered in a warmer temperature, warmer day. But he would have been left on land, and he would have, for that to develop, he would have had to be left in something with a controlled climate. So that's a little surprising that there were no bugs on the bodies inside the house. That's interesting to me. I could look into that. Like, yeah, actually, yeah. I should look into that. Fuck. All right. Making a note of that.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up. Actually, I just had to take 20 extra minutes before I got there late.
Well, You know, it's like they say it was in the winter and stuff like that, but the door was cracked. And they did have fruit in the house that was decaying. There should have been any type of insect, like fruit flies or something.
I like you.
And there's no mention. Thank you.
I like you. You're smart. Yeah, there's no good call. Well, good call. That's actually an excellent call. Good job. I don't like that serology wasn't. I don't think serology specialists, and I could check again, but you would think they'd be looking for things like if they see the dog ate remains, that saliva would be on the bodies or the pieces left behind. I don't think they checked any of that. So criminalistics is the study of crime and the evidence collected to kind of give somebody like a scientific stance about like what's going on. So that's what I went to school for. But eventually I wanted to do psychological profiling, and I didn't. Turns out you can't be me and work for the FBI and CIA because I guess I don't get out and I swear too much and I have tattoos. I don't know. So profiling wasn't going to work because I'm not really discreet as a human. So profiling is using psychological and predictive factors known to be part of past admitted criminals to put forth a likely outline of someone who would commit the crime. Here's the kicker. If we could get a guy from the FBI on this shit, they'd probably tell us in a second who did this crime. But that costs big money. Right, that costs big money though, and they won't come for anyone. And I know I've called in my one favor I had with my one friend in the FBI already. I can certainly try my one friend. What?
That costs them money. How? What do you mean? We gotta pay it? We gotta bribe them or something? What do we gotta do?
No. But no, profiling is something you pay for. It's a really it's science. The psychologist that does it, that works for usually, I think they were collected. Profiling is done usually by the FBI, I believe. And the one favor I had, the FBI, I called in for another case when I could. But this one here, a profiler, to get them to come out if they don't volunteer, I would imagine we'd have to pay.
Yeah.
You have to pay me to go to Minnesota, and I don't want to go. I'm not trying to jerk in Minnesota, everybody. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm not an outdoorsy girl.
You're going and you're bringing flowers.
Wow.
There you go.
I know, I'm not the guy who walked by with flowers and randomly left them. I'm not that guy. And ballistics is the study of guns and bullets.
Yeah, I was told that Batman is going to be somewhere.
Guns and bullets, we got that. We can move on.
Just one more thing on. Oh, nothing. One more thing on the profiling. That is definitely something that I would pay for. That I would try to pay for, definitely.
I know that's something you would love to, but you tell me if you get the number to the FBI directly, and if they were willing to, if you get the number, I'll call them up. I got no problem. But until then, unless we know someone in it, I don't know that we will. But we can talk about that after this.
Yeah, okay.
This conversation here and think that I'm going to get anywhere. We'll talk after.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
All right, so what's the next slide? Am I done here? Then we have the other one, because the other one I'm wicked excited to show Sophia. All right, so the next one's really good, by the way, Sophia. Really good. Okay. Medical examiner, forensic pathologist, or coroner. Who do you want to do your autopsy? This kills me, because people don't understand that a coroner is an elected official. So I'm going to skip down to the fact that first, a medical examiner is a licensed doctor who studies forensics. They sign off on postmortem exams. People like Dr. Cyril Wecht and Dr. Bennett Omalu, those are the best that have ever been. And they become the head medical examiner at the Pittsburgh office eventually because they're medical examiners. They're doctors. Forensic pathologist is not a doctor, but they have extensive training and knowledge. It specializes in deaths that are sudden and untimely. And the example there maybe is a little inappropriate. The sudden death of Judge Scalia in Texas was unexpected, as he was healthy as far as everyone knew, so they called in a forensic pathologist to assist. A coroner, so this is fun because in New Hampshire they let anyone do anything. I mean, they let a guy run for president with like a boot on his head, and I'm not kidding. It was like a local thing. I was like, this is not funny. Yeah, he's not funny to me. This guy got on TV, and I was so angry about it. I was like, I hate this state. I hate it so much. But anyway, there's literally a coroner not far from here, as a matter of fact, who has a meteorology weekend that he did one time, and 25 years with an associate's in advertising. So I don't want him to cut me open. I'm good. Like, advertising, and meteorology, right? Why not? I like him, so they voted him in. Yeah, you laugh, but I live here.
He's got great personality.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, but around here, nobody has that. I walk, I'm like, hi, how are you? And people are like, what? And you're like, oh, God, please. Just want to say hi, be friendly, everybody. You're the ones electing the advertisers. All right. I'm from Massachusetts.
Well,
okay.
So in this case, in this David Crowley case, what are we dealing with here? Are we dealing with a medical examiner, a forensic?
Oh yeah, you are.
Pathologist?
Lewinsky. Remember Lewinsky's on there signing off? Is that her name?
She's a medical yes.
Medical
She's
examiner.
a medical examiner.
She would have to be, yep. And she's a very good, she's a forensic pathology degree too. She's got both. She's got both. She's got everything she needs to be quite good at what she does, yeah. So from what I can tell, she's wonderful, but you don't know. Sometimes it'll say like, oh, this was specifically prepared by this person, and you're like, did you type the words in, or did you do the operation? Like, you can't tell, and a lot of times they have people that do things for them, especially with large, like in Columbine, for example, they had to send out the victims to other places because they didn't have enough people to do them at each one. So they have to send them out. But somehow at Sandy Hook, Dr. Carver got them all done in a night with like a prayer and like one friggin' knife. Whatever. Sorry,
yeah,
I'm bitter about that one.
On that one.
Yeah, we'll definitely go over that off audio for sure.
Okay.
That one makes me. Dr. Carver is his name. Like, just let that sit in, okay? But yeah, I know who I want to do my exam, and it would be an ME for sure. So people don't often know that. So this is the end. That's just the thank you part. Thank you, and appreciating everything that you do. Everybody that cares, it matters. If there's anything else people don't understand, checking out the Oxford English Dictionary of Forensic Science helps a lot. That's a good, reliable source. Please try not to wiki. I've seen some real bad shit go on there where you're like, oh my lord. There's some rough sites out there, but for the most part, science is so straightforward that it's like, this is what you're dealing with. It's just not easy to understand like it is in that one. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys got something of it. And I'm really excited for the next one because it's friggin' sick. Greg was like, this is going to be fun. And I was like, I know. So I'm stoked.
Well, this is very helpful, and I really appreciate you going over the terminology.
No problem.
There's a lot of people who seem, they really want to help with the case, but the terminology really is confusing, and
exactly
this case is confusing on top of that, and sometimes you just get overwhelmed. And
confusing. The case is confusing. We got to find another word for that. This is like a whole new level of conundrum. Like it's bull.
I have an actual two words for it. I have two words for it.
You can't say them on air. You're too classy. What?
Yes.
Yeah, you're like, I'm above that. You're right, you are. You don't want to say those words. Gotcha. I hear you. But thank you for understanding that, too, because it's all about patience. Like, and if I'm able to have, and I'm not perfect, so I mess up, but, like, if I'm able to have the ability to share anything, it's the fact that we need people, because the same people on a case, a lot of times cold cases go stay cold because they don't want anyone else coming in and looking, and you want to be like, well, you haven't figured it out. So ask the person you think is dumb or never solve it, but the person you think is dumb could probably be really smart if you gave them the right tools. Like, that's what it's about. So I appreciate you coming and listening and caring very much. And I don't appreciate Greg, but that's the difference. I'm just kidding. I love you, Greg.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding. You're my fave.
Today.
He knows me. I'm kidding.
And we all appreciate that Ben Affleck was the greatest Batman ever.
Oh my God, you
can't.
No, he wasn't.
Here.
You jerk.
No.
Shut it down.
You gotta bring him up at the end of every episode. You gotta bring Ben Affleck up at the end of every one. He's the only celebrity from Boston that's an asshole. And don't even laugh like if you met me, you'd be like, wow, what a jerk. He's a jerk. He's a jerk. I thought us to know about Batman. Adam West was the best Batman, but we'll fight later.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I'll challenge you on that one. Okay.
No problem. And if you guys are ready to go, we can move on to the next one when you're ready, because this one's my favorite, and I think Sophia's going to love it.
All right. Sounds like fun.
Okay. So this is a presentation about human experimentation when no ethics really apply. I'm not saying CIA does not have ethics. Maybe they do. I don't know. But the field of science, ordinary citizens, and the CIA, all the information you're about to see comes directly from their databases or comes directly from the actual experiments. And this is something I'm thinking hopefully will apply to the Crowley case, and it will be our real Hail Mary. If we exhaust everything that we all do together to try and get this solved, at the very least, I'm hoping we can vindicate him. So follow me on this one. I don't even have to read this first part, to be honest. I think I was overtired when I typed that part, so let's just go to slide 2 and let's get going. Oh, okay. So, that one you can't see, huh? At the top. What happened? Did you photocopy it? Greg?
No, I didn't. No.
Can you see it? Because I can't.
I can't see. I mean, I can just see. If you guess, they all did human experiments that were all about human mind control. You won.
That's weird. I guess skip that one. That one was like me being a jerk. The next one's okay, but I'm worried about wiener. Sorry about that. I didn't know the colors wouldn't translate. Can you get on slide 3?
Yeah, I'm on 3 right now. Can you see it?
Okay. Now I can, yeah. So after watching the uniting of Germany's people as a Nazi party under the reign of Adolf Hitler, a local scientist named Dr. Milgram decided he would look into the proclivity of those specifically in the army to listen to and follow orders from people in authority within the higher ranks. So he headed to the U.S. and he designed and ran an experiment that is now a landmark for understanding basic psychology of others, and one that speaks for generations after generations regarding how we are as people and how our values and personal ethics conflict with what may be directed to do by an authority figure we've been taught to respect on a higher level, like a doctor. Who better to try it, right? So, yep. So here's how it goes. So after advertising for volunteers to come to it, Yale University is where he held this, and he gathered a test pool of people, and he placed one person in a testing room. But this room was split into 2, and they were attached to each other so that neither person in either room could actually see each other. In the first room, the doctor took a test subject and sat them at a table and showed them a scale of electricity. And there was a set of corresponding buttons that went with it, or they had switches too. I'm sorry this is all messed up right here, but basically from left to right on this panel, there was an increase in zaps of electricity they would give someone. So what the doctor was saying was ask them the question and ask them the answer, and if they get it wrong, each time they get it wrong, you're going to move further to the right and give them a higher dose of electricity. So in one room where the other person was not being tested was an actor, and he was paid to go up with every increase and beg them to stop and basically make a fit out of everything, see how far they would go if a doctor told them to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So at the beginning, Dr. Milgram we're going to go over what he estimated and what he found out, which is mind-blowing. But right now, if you think about it, it will be that if subjects aren't aware that they're being tested to see what they'll do under authority versus what they really know to do right and wrong. So the next is a video experiment. I'll show you one part of it. So if you want to go through it and hit play, we'll watch it. And whenever you're ready, you can hit play, Greg. Hopefully that works. Oh no, did it not work?
I'm not sure if it's going to play.
This isn't coming up at all. Why does it look like this? Mine didn't look this way.
Huh.
Oh, crap. If I pull it up, can you
Could
see it
be
on mine? If I pull it up, would you be able to see it on mine? Or no?
Probably not. I don't know. No, I'd have to screen share with you.
Oh, crap. Okay, so here's what we'll do then. Are you able to go on YouTube and I'll show you which one to play?
Would he get dinged for that?
Being dinged.
By YouTube? If he went to, if he played another video? Or...
Oh, I don't know. This is on YouTube. You're right. Crap. See, you're always thinking, Sophie. I like you. Are you able to do that or on anywhere else? Yeah, you can look up the Milgram experiment and it should come right up.
Okay.
Let's see, but the important part is seeing the different reactions of people. He did this, I think, 18 times. So try to go on this one. I see what you're looking at. There's some old ones and there's new ones. Just scroll down if you don't mind. Oh, yeah. Go down. Yeah. Let's try and see that. We don't want to see the second guy yet because he's the second set of examples. Let's see if we can go up a little bit, please. Sorry about this, guys. I don't know why I didn't translate right. I want us to see, maybe we could just try that full video at the bottom left. The one that says Milgram Experiment YouTube. Are you allowed to do that? Yeah, try that. Try to explain the whole thing, though, beginning to end.
I don't know if they'll be able to hear it, though.
No, I know. Can you hear it on your end and we can't, or?
I can't hear it.
I can't either.
I hear it
There's
in
nothing I can do to share it at all.
Oh my God, this is brutal.
I know, that's not what I'm trying to show you, for the record. That was not that I'm against it. I mean, I'm all about talking about the Holocaust because I'm the first person to tell you that my mom taught it growing up, so I get it. But like, this is not the part that we want to see right this second anyway. Okay. Way to go, Greg. It's probably because you like Ben Affleck as Batman, I'm guessing. I couldn't
Go
resist.
back
It's going to come back at you so hard. I'm Boston. You're not going to get away with it.
We all know who is the superior force here.
I don't think I'm superior. I'm just born in the city of champions. I can't help it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I don't know, I really want to show the video, but I want to show the video, but if I can't, I can kind of explain. It's up to you.
Yeah, it's probably a Mac.
All right.
That's why I hate a Mac. Hold on. Let me get
I can give it a brief. The first guy, I'll tell you while you look for it, the first guy right here, he's looking at the doctor over his shoulder right there. And he's saying to him, do you hear this guy? This guy's begging me to stop. The guy was saying to him, like, please don't keep going. I got kids, man. I got to go home. Like, this is exhausting. Like, the actor's really giving him, you know, I think this guy here barely got halfway through at first. And he was like, this guy is really in pain. What are you doing to this guy? And he's asking, and he's really bugging with it. But the doctor says, do it. And he does it against knowing it's wrong. So he doesn't know what to do. He just feels bad. Does that make sense?
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
The next guy's fantastic. Next guy's like, nah, this is going to work. I like your little bee on the Bing background. It's very much somebody who's on Summer Lovin'. What?
I hear music.
On my end?
No, it's on mine.
Oh.
Hold on.
Wow. Okay. So, wow. I'm dumbfounded. All right. So example number 1 here for the Milgram experiment shows a man who is working through the experiment, hitting the buzzer from left to right, and he, if I remember correctly, gets about maybe like halfway through, and the man on the other end, every time he shocks him, is crying and begging him to stop. So he looks at the doctor and says, this guy sounds like he's not in a good way. Can you check on him or something? And the doctor says, just keep going. And he listens. And even though it really shows that it draws on him and he doesn't want to do it, he listens anyway. And if I remember correctly, he makes it all the way to the end. The man is silent, and he is presumed dead. Go to the next one, and I'll show you. The next guy, he was fantastic. This guy here was like, I'm not going to do it because you said so. Like, he did it, and then like got like a couple in, and he heard the guy in pain, and he sat back, and he looked at the doctor, and he said, who do you think you are? You can't just do this to people, which is great. And if you watch, again, I haven't seen this one in a bit, but he's one of the very few who did that. So if you want to just jet right to the facts, this is the mind blower for me, but we have a lot more to go. So it's scary to see the majority of people chose to go way beyond what was safe or fair to the other subject. So on a personal level, think about it. Like, could you do it? Could you stand up to authority? Are you programmed to listen to the ones in charge? It's normal to be. So this up here shows on the pie chart that 65%, and Milgram predicted, I believe 1 to 3%, it says. 1 to 3% of people is what he thought would do it, and everybody else would say, no, I'm not going to do that, and it reversed on him. So 65% of people killed this guy by listening. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I would have never thought that. Mm-hmm. He was disgusted. He did like 18 times because he didn't want to believe it. But yeah, if you want to go to the next one too, it gets into that a little bit. Oh my God, why? You're fired. Hang on. I'm pulling up on mine because I can't even talk about it if I can't see it. So hang on. Crap. Those are 2 transitions. All right. We are on, the next one was, it's the great too, isn't it? Shit. Okay, so we're at this one. Are you looking at the prediction made by Milgram?
I'm looking at 3 guys holding arms.
Why? Then we missed a couple. I don't think you uploaded the right one.
No, they are. They just, for some reason, it didn't whatever the images are, they didn't translate.
But you're missing 2 in the middle after the pie graph.
Correct.
The next one's prediction made by Milgram.
And then here's 2.
Okay. So number 8 says the prediction made by Milgram at the start of the experiment was testing subjects 1 to 3% would never reach the top level. The numbers showed that of the ones tested, 64% were willing to provide the ultimate pain to a stranger begging for safety because the person in the white coat said so. So this is incredibly relevant to so many parts of crimes, and we can totally apply it to the Crowleys. If you think about it, explain how little we know about our own inner psyche and what we will do to someone else to gain the end result we desire. What would you say?
Nothing. I was clearing my throat.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It shows that humans would go as far as to commit a crime, possibly take a life in order to not disobey, or in fear of being forced into the other room where the men play. What damn, I was so tired, I guess. The man play acting, whoa, would now become us for real. So we didn't even think about it, like, what if I was over there? They didn't do that. They didn't say, what if that were me? Which is kind of what you should do. But if you stop and you think about this case, the Crowleys, think about all the people that have come out and gone, if that were me, I'd want someone to fight, right? So at the end of the day, we do what we have to do to protect our own, and we say, screw the strangers, because a government official, a sitting member of our government or a doctor or whoever, looks at the Crowley case specifically, and it becomes very hard to imagine how someone at a higher level would be able to force someone into submission. If it was a rank in the military service or the people that pretended they were in the military, no names are being mentioned, just that weird guy that looks like the guy from American Idol, from the documentary thing. But it could be a whole new game for us, because whether it's David or an outsider, if somebody above them were giving them the orders, they'd be forced to listen. Trust me, I'll explain. So number 9, I know it's hard to see, I'm sorry. This is the one where it should be, we are at no limit right now with what those in the upper tiers of society can and will do to take others out. Do you see this one, Greg?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, no, you don't. This is the one that introduces part 2. So the next experiment is wicked. We don't have to watch it except the trailer in it, but it's a good one. We're to limit upper tiers of society can and will do anything they want to others if they need to be done away with them. They'll use the love of their family and friends to force them to act. So what I'm insinuating, and I'm just going to say straight out because I don't fucking care, is the fact that if people above them want to say, I'll kill your kids if you don't do this, they're going to listen and protect their own and kill David and his family if they need to. But there's also a way that it can happen without it being a matter of conscience and choice. And it's a CIA experiment I'm going to get to at the end a little bit. So basically, medical experts, it says the experiment was excellent proof that science and government power were able to accomplish and build a Nazi party, even though those people didn't necessarily believe in it. So the next part coming up is a very brief overview of the most unethical experiment we've ever fucking seen. And as human beings, it's still affecting us, because I don't know if anybody here is adopted, but if you're adopted, you have questions that are coming, like that.
Yes, I'm adopted.
You are not.
Yes,
are you kidding? Are you okay? So real quick.
No, I'm not kidding. I was adopted.
Were you adopted out of New York by any chance?
No, I was born in Bexar County, so through San Antonio. The Catholic Charities through San Antonio.
Get confused. Okay, so you weren't out of New York. Okay, that's good news. All right,
no.
So you're good. You're good. Before we move on, I get nervous because there's twins and triplets involved in this one. So moving on, we're going to get to part 2, and you can skip the explanation for part 3 because I'm already screwing you guys with time. So you can't see it, but I put a trailer here, and I'll send it to, or Sophia, if you can see it, and you can watch it later. It's called 3 Identical Strangers, and it's actually a movie about this adoption agency, which I do explain in a bit, how they place these 3 triplets around the United States in 3 different types of homes to see if it was nature or nurture that raised them. So what happened with this experiment, you're thinking, could be really good, right? It could learn something, but not tell them they're a part of it and let them be the subjects is very unfair. And what they did was they found out when these 3 found each other by accident, people started coming out saying, well, I was adopted there too, and then twins and triplets were coming out of the woodwork. And before we knew it, we're looking at suicides of people that didn't have family their whole lives. One of the guys in this triplet set here killed himself later because he's so upset that he lost so much. And making people this kind of experiment like they're nothing, like they're just these specimens, is messed the fuck up. And what happened, if you go to the 11, what happened was the Louise Wise Adoption Agency in New York was operating for decades, and it actually sold to Spencer Chapin or whatever, basically a way to take over the name. They were shut down by the judges because basically they were taking these children from Jewish families, and I don't know why specifically Jewish, but whatever, and they were adopting them out and testing and checking in on them throughout their lives to see how they were developing. Well, in the triplets, one of them was very wealthy and privileged, one of them was from a dirt poor, bad, awful area, and one of them had like a medium, upbringing, and they wanted to study that. But think about the psychological effect on that. I mean, the guy of the triplets that dies, his psychological effect was so strong that he couldn't get up in the morning. It's awful. And what happened was they brought it to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court made an interesting decision. They said, so here's where I start on number 12. I start getting real sweary. One would have to think that the government would have to have a friggin' bird over this unethical bullshit. But instead they found the evidence and information gained from it would be so important to later generations that the judges decided to lock the records away and seal them in a vault. and preserve them at Yale until the year 2065 when we'll essentially all be dead. Then at that time they can open them and look at the experiments, but till then there's people walking on Earth that have no clue they're twins and triplets, even quadruplets. Is that sick? Like, they don't have any siblings and they're just walking among the world alone. It's weird.
Why would they even do that? Why would they steal everything?
That's dumbfounding. It's like
no
I watched
answer.
a movie inside. What'd you say?
So there's not even answers for these poor people.
I know, and they're not going to get them. That's the worst part. They're not going to get them. And that's why one of the triplets, I think, was aware of that. When they ruled them, because they are the ones who started the movement, they found, they thought they were twins. The two that found each other were like, oh my God, we're twins. And then they put their picture in the paper, and the third guy was like, no, I'm your triplet. And like, there's multiple times this came up. They'll never get answers. We'll never get answers. And we don't know how many people it affected because they didn't keep a tally. Right? So I said, so Sam, we get it, but why bring this up regarding the psychological testing and experimentations of regular people? How does this apply to the Crowley family or within the military? How could that allow a connection to the perpetrators that may have committed and staged the scene at the Crowley house? And then I call the assholes at the CIA, which probably isn't a good thing to do, but they know they're assholes. They basically run around doing whatever they want because they're above the law, because they're assholes. I'm not afraid to say it. And they have the resources and cash to assure people, and they can assist them with their requests. But then scopolamine, are you familiar with that at all? Scopolamine?
No.
Oh, truth serum. It's truth serum. So it's the stuff they give you when they don't want to do, they do these lie detector tests, which are crap. I mean, check somebody with scopolamine, they're going to tell you their whole life. I would tell you college front to back if you did that to me. And I don't talk about that because I was a nut. It's a fun fact that, so if you go on number 13, it's a fun fact, all this is a Google search of CIA mind control, FOIA paperwork. The motherfucker who filed this was a genius because they had to tell everything. And if you go to that database, you're going to be there for hours in a black hole. It's great. And it's great to watch them like shut themselves and be like, well, maybe we did that and that wasn't a good idea. Like, what? So it says birthday present of a lifetime. Here the site for the CIA itself comes up, and on this glorious page, a directory and set of volumes of research and data documents involving, and what I'm going to say is scary, but we're talking your worst fears, is the evolution of human mind control. And we're not just talking MK Ultra. I don't know if you guys know about that, but we're going way past that. Do you know MK Ultra? Yeah. We're going way dangerous. Like, we're going past it. So on page 14, if you I got one of them went out of, okay. So hold on. This might have gone, okay, yeah. So in addition to what they were able to develop and evolve, is this in the wrong order? What do you see in front of you? You see 14?
This one is blank, so it's another one that just didn't translate.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that later. Okay, you and your Mac. So it says in addition to, because of the video itself, but it says in addition to what they were able to develop and evolve to use to push the abilities of these experiments, they actually gained access to soldiers on a one-to-one basis and used something that's coming out. And they say that it's Vladimir Putin's lying about it and 5G technology is not real, but it's very real. And it's actual brain and skull vibration. And it can make subjects do whatever the fuck they want them to. And they can make them go to their own death willingly. It seems like it wouldn't happen in a situation, but this is how I think we can vindicate him in the very end with our Hail Mary, is even if he was under this control, then it wasn't him that did the crime, because he wasn't able to choose. But if there's other people there that perhaps committed the crime that could have been under the influence, which is highly possible considering the level of government and military we're talking about, it's possible that either way it vindicates David and frees him, because he didn't do it even if it was him that did it, if that makes sense, Lou? No?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it was able to be replicated in multiple ways. We actually, I hope I get into it later, but we actually find that they use specifically things like tearing up the Quran. That's in there. And they use things like writing to obey Allah now, which was on his notebook, things like that. They forced one guy, if I remember correctly, to like walk off to the desert and stand there till he died, like crazy. It said, whoever did it could have very essentially walked right into it and did it and doesn't even remember it. But either way, I mean, the whole thing is such a mess and there's bullets everywhere and it looks very disorganized, and it makes me wonder if they created a human robot to go in there and just do it. And that sounds insane, but it's truly not. It's so reachable. It's like just there. People don't want to believe it, but it's insane. Talking
about like a Terminator?
No, will clarify.
Arnold? Somebody?
No, we're talking about an ability to reach people on a one-to-one basis and control their mind. So they're able to vibrate their skull and give them one-to-one messages. They were able to do that, and they still are, very much so. So what they did with a lot of people, they tested it on all the military people they could. And you have to remember that David's military, I mean, you saw him talk. He taught himself German, like, for fun when people aren't drinking. The guy's brilliant, okay? He was very smart. And I believe that they would access his brain. I believe they could make him do what he did, allegedly.
Why? First of all, not only why, but would something like that have started while he was still in the service, or are we talking about years after he's out of the service?
No, we're talking about it started in the service. Yeah, it started in the service, I'm guessing. But I think that obviously your brain becomes used to it. They start it with little things, like walk over there while we walk, that kind of stuff. And then if it's working, they're able to move away from them and still control them when they want to access them. It's weird.
Is it tied to what they were shooting our soldiers up with? To a lot of these things that from soldiers that I've talked to, they didn't know what they were being shot up with.
I think so.
No idea.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't. We just showed up and they injected us.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty much.
Right. And it's not fair. And I think especially somebody like him who went to his second corps, who didn't want to be there and made it no joke of it and said, I'll deliver mail, I don't want to be here. I think they would have absolutely punished him by doing that. I do. I think that he probably didn't get a chance, but I think they must have injected them or something. But I know it's brain skull vibration that we're talking about. But they have to be able to receive it. So maybe the shots had something to do with it. But either way, even if he took the gun and did it, he didn't do it, because he couldn't have chosen for himself. And this is something becoming so popular, especially if you see anything about the drowning men. These men are walking and doing things to die like people are telling them to, and they have no will. It's weird. You see them on CCTV walking like zombies. And it's happened hundreds and thousands of times now. It's strange. And I think that this is our Hail Mary, because I think that in the end, if we get nothing else done, we know he didn't truly do it. I'll never believe he did. But this is a real thing, and at Harvard and at places like MIT here, they're still developing it, FYI. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but yeah. So I'm sorry that you guys couldn't see the full effect. I hope, Sophia, you're able to see it on your own. And on the very last page, I put a picture of the family being silly together. And look at them. He couldn't do this to them. He couldn't. And it says, there won't be a day when I give up trying to free David Crowley from the belief left here on earth that he would ever or could ever murder the women he loved most in the world. And I'm not going to even start with Kate, his mother, because she was poking around and I'm sure she was shut up. But having no record of her death and no obituary or anything is just inexcusable and disgusting. I'll never say Kamel wouldn't have taken Rania and left at the first sign of trouble if he had it. I know she would have chosen her daughter. She's a good mom. I'll never give up on the unfair attack by those that loved him on that fucking bullshit film that jerk did. That was so unfair. He's such a great man. And I'm not saying he was perfect. I'm sure he knows that. But everything they said around it, he was losing weight. He was this and that. Like, why is it only coming from you 5 to 7 people that are just sitting here talking so weirdly about him after death and then talking sexually about Kamel to a degree, in my opinion. It says that they were supposed to be loyal to him. They were supposed to have served with him. The guy who looks like friggin' Daughtry was supposed to be like in charge of him or something. But this is like, I said, there's respect owed to him, better than the bullshit on a B-list shit show of a Netflix turd. I think that's what I said. Whoops. Sorry about that. The filmmakers were okay with highlighting this hatred forever kept inside for reasons unknown to us. And also, I'll never forget the way his own brother and numerous friends he considered brothers looked at and spoke about Kamel versus him. This is our last chance to free him from this burden and let him rest. I think wherever he is, he would be deeply, deeply saddened thinking that that's what people think of him. And again, nobody's perfect, but I sure as shit know he wasn't keeping her from her parents or her family. I sure as shit don't think that there's anything going on out of here other than possible intervention from something like somebody in charge using mind control, perhaps, or something totally insane. That's outsiders involved because he didn't do it. But this is our last chance. If we exercise everything we've done, then at least we know at the end we can clear his name because technically he couldn't have done it, you know? Sorry this one didn't look as good on here. I'm mad about the way it came out. It looks really good on, like, in front of me, but somebody has a Mac, so. Yeah.
It looked good on my phone. It looked perfect on my phone.
You opened it on your phone?
Well, yeah, I was working. Sorry. You know,
I
couldn't open it up and.
You have work computers?
No.
You don't?
Only if I want to get fired, maybe. Sure.
Well, if you told them you were looking into a cold case, they'd be like, all right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, Greg.
Smile
sure.
and button a button, all right? Smile and take a button and pop it open. You're good.
Yeah,
I'm just
right.
I'm
that
just
would have
kidding.
been fine. No problem.
Right, no big deal. In the background of this picture I used, can you guys see it? Is that his brother, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, because it looks like somebody lurking, like dark spirited. But go ahead. Just one sec.
That's his older brother.
The brother that looks, yeah, he's over there like lurking. Yeah, no, I see. I didn't even notice that till right now. But anyway, I know this was a hard one to understand, and I'm sorry it wasn't as impressive. Next time we'll definitely do the Townsend one and talk about that, but this is our chance, at least we know at the end. Once we've eliminated everything we can do and we get stalwarted everywhere we've turned, we can say we know he didn't do it no matter what, because he didn't. That's what I was looking for. That's what I've always been looking for as a way to clear him, so. I don't know.
Well, before we actually say that David did it, I would like to see absolute proof.
Me too.
But the ones going around saying that David is guilty, they don't have proof, and they can't show us proof.
And they can't justify their own behavior that we see on paper and we see on Greg, is this something that, I mean, it's open on your page that this is up there, but is this something I can even get into right now about my issue with the brother and the money? Like, no?
You can talk about,
it's open.
About anything. Talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, what I do want to say, and I think, Sophia, I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but the money that was kept by the father for the children, all of them had, like, the way to deposit and take out. Allison didn't seem to ever have touched it. David, I don't know. I couldn't tell because they both have a David and then the other one, Daniel. It's called a D. Crowley. But there's one withdrawal slip in their financial records that looks very much like, I'm pretty sure it's the brother. He writes like he's in a hurry. He barely fills out any information. Like he forgets to put the date on the slip. And it's for like
a $50,000 withdrawal.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? What was that about?
Yes.
You don't take $6,000 from your siblings and not be like, by the way, guys, I need this for something. Because I'm sorry, but like, what do you need to, if you're going to take $6,000, I'm okay with it because it's all our money, but like, with cancer, are you okay? Like, and if you take, I'm sorry, that was a bad example, given that he's obviously the cancer fundraiser of the year. Sorry, but like, what a dick. But going back to that, he seems like did you notice on the Sloppumentary, he talks about him so poorly. He says, like, he was good at everything. He tried to be a dad, but he never says he's a good brother. And he lists off, like, he's a good dad, he's a good husband, never says brother. And I was like, that's gross. Like, after people die, you glorify them, but everybody in there was just dragging him through the mud. I mean, I don't think he had a friend in the world on there. But
yeah, it left me feeling sick to my stomach after watching it, and
yes,
and you're sitting there thinking, what aren't they telling me?
Oh, yeah.
And that's because I really didn't know anything about the case until I watched that documentary, and I was like, no, there's more to this.
Yep. I gotta be honest, I wasn't that smart, honey. I wasn't. At first, I watched it again because I wasn't paying attention. I went, that's not what, they're not trying to tell us that. And I went back and I was like, is this real? And that's why I reached out to Greg and I was like, am I missing? I'm not sure what I'm missing, but I feel like no. But I couldn't put my finger on it. At least you were like, no way. Oh, you.
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few people who believe it, take it, as face value and walk away and say he's guilty. But then there's people who actually think things through and they're like, wait, this doesn't add up. That doesn't add up.
Yeah.
How?
Yep.
How is he
so
guilty?
Weird. How are the people on there that get away with saying they worked with him in the Army or were his boss in the Army, Daughtry? What the fuck was that? and he doesn't know him. He like met him on a jog or something. Like this guy lied, and not for nothing. But if you don't have the balls to go in the military because you aren't strong enough, which is something like I'm in awe of, then don't lie about it because that's even weaker than the weakest human I can think of. Like that's weird. And then like that makes a sham of people's time and their efforts and everything they have to give up for it. And if you look at that last picture, I'm still looking at it. It haunts me that Daniel's in the corner like that. I think he always had a thing for Kamel. What are cake making skills? Like he's gonna have an orgasm. Let's be real. Like,
oh my
he
God.
does. He does.
Well, can you please go into more detail on what you are trying to say about the friend and being in the military?
I
understand the anger that he was giving off a lot of anger and a lot of hate.
But he wasn't allegedly in the military with him at all. That's why I heard he met him on some run or something, and then he wasn't in charge of him, and he was. Honestly, I haven't been able to even check into it because I'm still getting past the fact that there were bullets missed and then found by people that just happened to be angels that showed up. Like, that's a whole different. I can't even with that. But I'm pretty sure Daughtry, the guy with the giant thing on his neck that looked like he was insane. That guy, if I remember correctly, I read multiple people that he was never in there with David. He wasn't his boss, nothing like that. I don't know what his rank was ever confirmed, nothing. If you can find out more, that would be great, but I know that I looked into it as far as I could at the moment, and then I just never went back. But I wouldn't be surprised because he's nuts. I think that there's a lot of problems with that. And then his buddies that looked like they were his buddies for life, I mean. And then you have, I think all of them, and I said this to Greg at some point, I think there's a possibility that Kamel could have been the target because of how in love people were with her. Like, I don't blame them. She's a wonderful girl, but it seems like there was almost an unhealthy amount of, like, did you pick up on that at all, or no?
Well, when you think about 3 bullets being connected to Kamel because they had her DNA on it and only her DNA.
Yep.
It's a very strong possibility that Kamel was the target.
Yep.
Everybody else was just collateral.
Yeah, I think so. That's what. Thank you for putting it that way. That's exactly what I think. And I know it's a hard one for a lot of people. Are like, well, I'm sure that would probably look at that and go, no way. But there were so many guys on that documentary that literally probably had no problem fucking her when poor David was alive and in the room. And I think he went out of the house with them and didn't let them in because he didn't want to make Kamel uncomfortable. So she was like, get your creepy friend the fuck out of here. Because I know if my wife had creepy friends, I'd be like, you dare bring him in here, I'll kill you. You'll sleep on the couch and in the doghouse. Like, get out of here. And I feel like he probably led them outside to talk to them for that reason, but they took it as a different reason they could manipulate, you know? And I feel like there was, the brother with the cake, come on, man. That's what you have to say about her, but you can't call your brother a good man? Like, and the father is not telling us something because he just sits there and stares into space. And I'm not a parent who's lost a child, but that guy there is just either knows something or it almost reminds me of John Benet Ramsey's parents protecting their brother Burke. It almost reminds me of that because they didn't know what else to do, I think. And I don't think he does either.
That was a really sad case.
I think they were talking about this guy, Joseph Seaton. Is this the guy you're talking about?
I don't know. Does he look like Daughtry and have a really stupid necklace on? Do you want to punch him in the face? That's the one.
No, I don't want to punch anybody in the face, but
I do. I just want to punch this guy myself.
You don't want to punch anybody in the face.
If he's lying on his time in the military, I want to do worse. We won't even go there. Don't you dare. Like, you don't have to look.
He's known for
don't deal with that.
The 10 deadliest special ops tactics. Interesting.
I heard, from what I've been told and from what I've heard, and again, I've heard it from places I haven't had a chance to really like get into it. Again, the favors I've called in, I could always call my buddy I told you about before that helped us. I could call him and ask him, but I know there's certain things he can't tell me. But I do know this guy, I allegedly met him on a jog around the neighborhood or something, or on a run.
Well, he caught up with them. That was later. So they had served, and then I think within the last year, somehow David posted that he met him, or he saw him while he was jogging. So it was kind of like a happy coincidence.
But if he was in the military, then all the more power to him, and I will get on here and I will apologize. But all I'm saying is, from what I had been told, his rank was not confirmed, nor was it known that he was ever there. And then from what I understood, I saw the one picture on his wall, David's wall, that man's not in it. And I haven't seen anything else to prove that he wasn't in another tour. But if he was in charge of them and stuff, you'd think that there would be more to the story than him sitting there bashing this guy after his death. Like, you glorify people after they die. You forget the bad things. And it's weird that, like, you do initially. It's like a psychological thing. So for them to sit there and him be like, yeah, you know, this guy was a real, it's like, whoa, step back. And if he lied about his rank and he lied about his service, I find that not forgivable. Like,
well, okay, if he lied about his rank or about his service, how hard would that be to actually prove? Because that's stolen valor, right? Or I guess not, because he is an actual soldier, so it's not.
I actually could find that information out for you, and I'll work on it.
Thank you. Thank you for that, because honestly, that pissed me off for a while, and it still does. But I couldn't get to it because I was so busy going, we got to free this guy from people thinking when they watch this stupid thing that he did this, because I think it's so biased and it's so poisonous that there are people that I had watched it that have gone, well, you know, it looks, and I'm like, oh, my Lord, like, that's poison. And my focus, unfortunately, I'm sorry, and I apologize to you, Sophia, for that, but I honestly, like, I couldn't get into it, or I want to punch him, and Greg told me to behave.
Oh, no need to apologize.
I just get mad because I don't think it's right. What?
I was contacted by somebody, and I don't know if it's true or if it's not, but somebody also told me that too. They told me that whatever his rank was in this film, that's not his actual rank.
Yeah, it's a lie. I know it. I know he lied. And if you're not for nothing, be proud of what you did. Be proud of who you are in the military, you know, but don't lie.
Yeah.
And he didn't act like a soldier on TV either. What? What'd you say?
And, yeah, there's no reason for him to actually lie. So, that's...
Yeah. But bashing, I mean, the bashing alone is just so toxic and it's gross. And hopefully we do get more people to listen, and hopefully your Mac, you know, doesn't suck and your opinions on Ben Affleck.
Too late.
But,
Too late
what?
for that.
Wait for that. How about your Ben Affleck opinions? We'll work on that. We're going to get you to visit, and you're going to love it here, I promise.
Well, IMDb says that he's an actor.
What?
And it says that he's an actor and known for 10 deadliest special op tactics.
Or if he hosted it, because I doubt he was that brave. Sorry. That was my yelling moment.
It is strange that they're all listed as actors. But, you know, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you have to act to be Mason Hendricks or whatever his name is, going in there the next day, friggin' hanging around where your friend died, chilling out, finding bullets. My ass.
Oh, wow, I'm actually here. I didn't see myself here. I wasn't here before. That's like the worst.
Are you looking at the link I sent you?
Oh, my God, I just thought you found yourself and was like, is he having a seizure? Okay.
No, he did.
There's a link. Scared the shit out of me, man. You're here, Greg. We're all here for you.
All right.
You're on there, really?
No. Yeah, it's the IMBD link, and everybody
I see you moving around now. Oh, this is great. Dan. I want to meet him.
Dan's
Hang on.
Awesome.
Dan sounds like he's awesome. I was so glad they put you guys even on that, because it seems like, how did you get them to listen to you? Because that guy was such a jerk. Like, how did you get them to talk to you and put your site on there?
They contacted us. We didn't. I mean, that was it. So.
Think they got your number through the neighbors?
I have no idea how they got our number.
Perhaps on the phone, like, call these two assholes.
Well, I mean, why?
They probably did it because of the Facebook group.
Was that there before the show? Yeah.
Well, they watched the group. I mean, I even have Eric Nelson who liked a comment that I had made.
What?
And I have a screenshot of that.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yes,
I
can send it to you
when... tried to hide it.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. You tried to hide it after? That's cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Cute. It grosses me out. And these people, what kills me about this, and I'm looking at it now, and I just feel such a sadness, because it's like, and I got to tell you, even Sarah Johnson, there was one friend of Kamel's that I was like, what the fuck? she sat there and she was like, well, the way she talked about her relationship with him was very high school. I wanted to be like, that is so betrayful. Like, as a girl, yeah, this one. As a friend, like another girl, and Sophia, you can agree or disagree, but I feel like you would never look at somebody's love for someone and be like, that's high school. Like, I feel like you'd be like, great, good for you, you're happy. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but it was very judgmental, everything she said.
I would never say that about another friend. I might say it about somebody I didn't like, but I would never say it about another friend.
Exactly. And that's the thing, and if I meant it about somebody else I didn't like, I'm going to tell them as well. Like, if they asked me, did you say this? I'd be like, yes, I did. But she's like, I mean, maybe she's bitter about the business partner thing or whatever, but everything she said has this air of like, and she said, like, oh, she wanted to make more friends, but she didn't. It's like, if she was at a part where she felt alone and she wasn't making friends, who are you to not be like, hey, like, by the way, come join a book club, or there's things you can do, like, help her out, man. Like, really? I don't know. I didn't get that. The other woman seemed lovely, but overall, I don't know what David did to these people to piss them off, or maybe not. But I love that picture right there. He is so smart with that timeline. Did you guys notice how great his storyline was?
Yeah, they actually tried to use this to make him sound crazy. That was.
What do you mean make him sound crazy? He had a perfect organization of stuff I couldn't.
Yeah, really? I mean,
desperate.
Yeah,
desperate.
Desperate
people. They were probably trying to discredit him.
Desperate. No, they were looking for anything, and the problem is they had nothing. Nobody could get their story straight. Nothing ever added up. Everybody has 2-3 different stories. That's not how truth works. And yet we're all just supposed to just say, okay, fine, well, because you guys say it, because you guys know, because you were there.
And you're the biggest group of people that are being goons, like, then of course you're going to, like, influence,
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
It is crazy, and I got to be honest, I think a lot of this had to do with his intelligence, and I've said before, and Sophia, I don't know if you've heard this yet, but my other big thing is I worry about Rania was literally like the perfect mix of the two of them. So I wonder if they thought that maybe she was a threat later, because she had both of their brains, which were amazing, and I think she had both of their, and obviously the looks, she was a beautiful kid. I think that there was a good chance that a lot of this had to do with the fact that he would stay home and teach himself instruments and teach himself languages. This kid was not normally smart. He was, like, really smart. I wonder if they felt threatened. But, I mean, if I was
honestly think that she was just collateral.
You think she was, Rania was? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I mean, sadly, this poor child just got caught in the middle.
Right.
And
I never understood that. Why did
she's the real victim out of this whole entire case.
Yes,
I mean, it's sad.
She is, you're right. I never understood why kill a child, though. Like, I thought to myself, that was my hardest thing about understanding this case at first and going, okay, I have to make the jump and say I'm with these people going, there's something wrong here. And it took a lot of time for me to do that because at first I was like, why would anyone going in there to kill another adult kill a child? Like, I didn't get that. But if one or both of them were the targets, it would make sense. So sad. It's a mess. But either way,
there's another thing that we need to understand about this case is a lot of the stories that the friends and family are saying in regards to what happened with David and Kamel, or what led up to what happened to David and Kamel, is not adding up with the records that we have.
Could you explain that again? I don't understand what you just said. Could you try one more time?
Okay. A lot of the stories, or the official narrative, in quotation marks, is not adding up to the actual records that we have on hand. People said, oh, we called and talked to them, or we text them. No, that doesn't add up. Oh, no. David was having financial issues. That doesn't add up.
It wasn't, yeah.
So a lot of the official narrative is completely false.
Oh, I agree. Yep. It sounds like all wrong.
So that whole documentary was scripted. It was all scripted.
How do you write a script for that? That's so ridiculous to me. How do you do that?
You sit there and you watch them, and they're talking. They're reading off of a script. Everything is. It's all written.
I didn't know that. I didn't think about that, but I also don't think about that because I just keep thinking, you guys are assholes. I can't even stop and think, good for you. I'm going to go back and watch for that. That wouldn't surprise me.
I can't watch it anymore without becoming extremely angry.
Oh, yeah.
It's like these 3 people were were killed. David and Kamal are dragged through the mud, and you all are benefiting from their deaths. Every single person involved in this case that was involved with that documentary is benefiting from their deaths.
And nobody ever wondered, like, why Ronnie wasn't buried with her mother? Like, that drives me crazy. Like, I don't know where she is, but I know she should be with her mother. Like, what's that about?
She is.
All the stuff that doesn't make sense, you know?
From what we know now, she is with her mother.
She is?
But it was done last year, though.
Well, so I'm sorry, she should have been with her mother the whole time, in my opinion. But regardless, it's like you look at the people around them, and if they're willing to read off a script, and if they came to me, say, poor Greg, God forbid something happened to Greg, and they came to me and said, tell me about Greg, we're going to give you cue cards, I'd be like, you're going to give me cue cards, I'm going to tell you where to put them. Like, I'm going to talk about Greg and who he was and how he had terrible taste in Ben Affleck movies, but other than that, like, he was a good guy. And if they come to me and tell me I'm going to say something they want me to, I'm not going to. So for all those people to comply, that makes me sick, but it goes right back to that experiment, doesn't it? Somebody in charge tells you to do it, you're going to do it.
When they approached you, did they tell you, Greg, whether they wanted it to be scripted or they just wanted to hear you guys do a video? Or how did they approach you with this?
They had, I mean, are you talking about when they came to the house?
Yes. When they called and asked you if you wanted to do the documentary, did they just want you to talk off the top of your head? Or did they initially say that they wanted you to read a script? Or how did they approach you and propose this idea to you?
So when they contacted me, they wanted me to sign a contract. And I think that was the whole thing. So, or not a contract, but some waiver. Let's call it a waiver. Basically saying that I wouldn't sue anybody. Yeah.
It was your soul for the devil. Yeah.
Right. And so it was like, you know, I didn't want to sign it. I didn't even sign it until they actually they showed up, and I physically signed it then.
But good for you for doing it, because thank God we had people on there fighting for what was right.
Yeah. So so they show up there and they start asking me questions, and I start telling them things. And so scripted, I think on their part, yes, it was scripted. Like where they had scripts, they had bullet points, they had what they were going to come after me with, right? They had.
They were hoping you would hang yourself there. They were hoping you'd hang yourself and just manipulate it.
Yeah, I guess, but I think they were a little bit smarter because the guy that came, you know, he kind of knew that probably wasn't gonna work. But they were trying to get me to talk about Sean Wright. That was the big focus.
Which one is Sean again?
So Sean Wright had a hand in this film, but Sean Wright is the one who contacted
served with him from high school, right, and stuff. Friend of his?
No.
Bigger kid?
He came later. He came much later.
Okay, my bad.
But so I don't know. I guess he was involved in this whole grave state thing and blah blah blah, and he on December 9th, 2014, David Crowley posts something on Facebook. Sean Wright is telling him, you know, make sure to call him. He really wants him to call him so much that he leaves his actual phone number in a public Facebook post.
Wait, who said this to him? Sean said this to David, or David said this to Sean?
Sean said this to David. Sean wanted to make sure that David did not put Sean's tax stuff into the documentary.
Really?
And
why is that, you think?
Yeah. Well, because he was worried it was going to send him to jail, basically.
Obviously, that was a joke. I'm sorry. That's snarky.
Yeah, I know. But but basically, it was just weird because they were looking for certain quotes. They were looking for certain things. They wanted me to go after him, and I don't have any beef with anybody. You know, I don't care if people want to play games, if they want to do anything, fine. You know, I'll definitely deal with
reindeer games. I'm going to sit over here and wait. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So you know, but they were digging. They were digging for the wrong thing, and really, you know, it didn't take me long to really figure out that they really weren't looking for my side. That's the way that I truly felt. They were not looking to hear everything that I had to say, because if they were, they would have put that in there, because we talked about facts. We talked about bullet holes. We talked about how do people miss a bullet hole? How does every investigator miss one bullet hole right above their head?
Real quick, though, you know what killed me? You know what they killed me is when they put on screen saying, I don't care about the truth. I just want, I don't care about this, I just want the truth or something. And the way they had you saying it sounded like you were willing to say anything in order to be like, I know that this isn't true. It almost seemed like they polarized you. Like, they were trying to make it look like you didn't care about the actual truth of this, what's going on from their perspective. But the truth is, you're like, what you were trying to say, because I know you now, is you were trying to say, I would want you people to understand that this is not a murder-suicide kind of thing. But you couldn't get there. They manipulated it, almost. Like, I remember watching it being like, what the fuck, this guy, I thought you were a little crazy. I was like, this guy's going to be crazy when I contact him, but I got a question. And I was like, I've dealt with crazier. You know, I saw the prof nows, and I was like, it's one or the other. So, honestly, like, and still, I thought, I knew you were manipulated right away. Did they do the same to Dan? Did he, or can you not speak for Dan, or can he, do you know if they did it to him?
Yeah. It was the same thing. Probably a lot more. They did a lot worse to him than they did.
Really? That's too bad. I bet they didn't give the brother any shit, though, and they didn't bat an eyelash when he was like, at least describing his niece, and he goes, she was goofy looking or has goofy features. That bothered me. Like, what?
They were all part of it. They were all
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's weird. He described his niece as being goofy looking.
Yeah.
But what's their movie, because it couldn't be his, because he died, you know? So, it's like...
No, it couldn't be his.
Almost like jealousy, but it wasn't jealousy, because I'm sure he would have taken excellent care of them. And I don't think it was about money or anything. I think, but what was this hatred about? Why do they hate him so much? Everybody talking about working on the movie, it seems in the clips like so much joy and happy times and learning and stuff. Then the first guy's like, well, he didn't like to tell you more than one time how to do something. And the other side of me was playing the devil's advocate, and I'm like, well, maybe he just told you 17 times and got tired of babysitting you. Like, maybe it wasn't one or two times, maybe it was like a lot. And then as people started coming forward talking about things like cakes and goofy looking kids, and the guy like thought, I was like, this is just a shit show. Like, nobody seems to like him. And for such a likable guy, I wish I had somebody that knew him and was honest with us and was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know.
They all liked him. Yeah. I mean, they all liked him. They all worked with him. They did. They were all trying to do something with him until money got involved. When there was serious money on this table, when David had a real chance to take something real, something that he truly thought could really, help people, could actually wake up people to let them know what was going on.
Would have. That you think it's the money that came into it that bothered? Because I didn't see his brother on the movie set or doing anything. He wasn't going to get a cut. So who do you think? Why do you think they all came together because of the money?
No, but I do think that once the money was involved, things change. Things change.
You mean among friends specifically? You mean? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting, because he would have been a great friend to them. I think he would have absolutely taken them to Hollywood and paid them what they deserved, and I think he would have done all of that.
I think he was lying to Danny Mason. I think he was lying to him.
Who was lying to Danny Mason? David?
David, yeah.
Lying to him about what specifically?
About him being in the film.
I'm so confused now. So, Danny Mason was his friend they did the movie with, and then they split ways, right?
No, they ended up in a whole battle, and because David wanted to move forward. In order for David to move forward with the project, he had to have Danny sign off. Yeah. He had to have Danny sign off, and Danny wouldn't sign off.
I thought he eventually did that with the lawyer, no?
No.
He didn't?
No.
So what happened then? So was he going to, do you think it's possible a motive could have been that he was going to gain by having rights to the movie?
That doesn't explain, the ways that the cops acted. It doesn't explain their actions. Nothing to me explains why they would not do a deeper investigation, why they would be part of a cover-up. Those two things, I have a very hard time with thinking. I have a hard time thinking that the investigators were involved in a cover-up, and they would have to be. At some level, they would have to be. There's no other way.
But is it possible they're just giant morons? Because that's happened here. And I've been like, oh, you guys are all Barney Fife. I got it. And like walked out.
Okay.
But do you think that's possible here or no?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. I wasn't sure. That's why I asked. I mean, you could be saying, I mean, you know more than I do, but do we know if they've had any other major cases like this? Because they also could have seen the first thing coming and bumbled like morons. That's happened a lot.
Well, they did investigate another murder-suicide on November 3rd, 2016, and they closed that almost immediately.
How do you do that?
Right.
Okay, they didn't even bring in the BCA. They didn't bring in the BCA to do any of the crime scene. In fact, 2 of the detectives collected the blood samples to give to the ME.
What? That's nuts.
Yes.
But here's what kills me is a lot of times in murder-suicides and suicide specifically, they go in and if they see a note or if it's easily explained to them in their eyes, they can justify not doing an investigation. They save money, they save time, they can do what they want. And I do see that a lot of them go into it and they go, well, it's a suicide because there's a note. Well, if the note doesn't match their handwriting, you moron, it's not a suicide. But a lot of times they think, like, I don't know about there, but I know out here there's so many of them that they literally, and overdoses too, they literally walk into places and see a needle hanging out of their arm. And for all we know, it could be a murder for real. They'll walk in and they'll see the needle and they'll be like, okay, we just assume it's Narcan. They don't have time to process it and do it. But in a situation where there's a dead child, you think they would do a hell of a lot more than they did. You know? So gross. I never understood why. It takes a special person to kill a child after 2 adults. Don't you agree? Like, that's a weird pattern of killing, I think.
Yeah.
I wonder if a profile could shed light on that.
She was truly innocent, and what happened to her was just so horrible. I mean, what happened to all 3 of them is horrible.
Yeah. I don't know if, one of the things I sent you, and I hope you get a chance to see it, or we can talk about it another time, but there's a murder in Townsend, Massachusetts that happened, and I put it in the PowerPoint for you. And it's a murder that happened where there was people living in the walls of the home, making it sound like there was hauntings and stuff. And after all the things Sidra reported happening and the things that Rania reported happening, the chick to sleep on the couch in the living room, that weirded me out a lot, too. I don't know if it's magnetic or what, but that seems like that was so weird. That whole thing was like weird.
I did get that file, and I need to look at it. I just haven't had a chance to yet.
Yeah.
But that does sound weird.
What does your gut tell you? That's a good question. I have to ask this to you both. Like, when you go to your gut, what does your gut tell you on each of you that this was? Like, what do you, when deep down, and you can be honest with me, like, deep down, what do you tell you? What do you like, I'm sure it's got to be this. I just have to find a smoking gun.
My gut is 50-50. My gut says murder, and my gut says that it was faked.
Faked?
It's 50-50. Faked, like it never happened.
Staged, like, it never happened at all?
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
That the bodies. Well, I mean, I've been told by somebody, a private investigator told me that the bodies that were laying in the living room were cadavers and not the family.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Did I just hear you?
And yes, that's what he told me, and it took me a long time to even think about that. But when you think of the things that don't add up in this case,
oh my God, that makes sense. Wait a minute. You might be onto that. Time out.
But
my wife,
there's still 3 bodies. And missing. So
there'd be 3 bodies missing?
There's still 3 bodies that were laying in that living room. So
they bury them in a mass grave all the time when they're not identified. They stack them in a goddamn freezer and they throw them in a mass grave, every year. So what they'll do is they'll wait. We don't think they're going to make up an excuse. But then I wonder if that means that the other 3 got away. They'd be easy to identify somewhere else. My wife, by the way, has been saying since day one she wants to know if the umbilical cord was frozen because she thinks they were trying to take Rania's DNA, too. Because Rania was, again, such a rare mix. It wouldn't surprise me if they were after Rania, too. But I wonder, you're right. That makes sense. Keep going. I want to hear more.
Well, I don't have absolute proof.
No,
but there are certain things that I'm willing to talk to you about off of a recording.
Oh, God, yeah.
Until I can actually prove
I forgot we're recording. I'm
But
so sorry. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Let's talk about that for sure. We're gonna have a phone date. After this, I'll give you my number. And Greg,
Okay.
you can come, but only if you don't bring your stupid, sucky opinions and things like that, man.
I'm gonna wear my Batman costume. I'm gonna wear my Ben Affleck Batman costume.
If you're gonna wear a Batman costume,
okay, I need a photo of that.
Yeah.
You're gonna get photos, and I'm gonna call his favorite
secret
admirer.
Ben Affleck wore.
We can talk about his stalker off this recording. We're gonna call the stalker and have her follow him around in his cute little latex outfit.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and we'll go out into that after this. I won't do that to you here, but you got my message today. You saw what I sent you. All right.
You can see the one that he wore, and you can see the one that Adam West wore, and you can see if you were in trouble, which Batman would you want?
Well, I would tell you this: I would be in trouble
Very
because
clear.
if that
I
was
wouldn't
my
want a
city,
Batman in spandex and underwear.
No, listen to me. If
I would rather have Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, he's another dick, dude. He's awful. But here's the deal. The deal, though. I'll promise you both that you're wrong. Here's why. Because I wouldn't be in Gotham City because that guy's got so much money and he doesn't reinforce the walls of the jail. Everybody keeps leaving after he puts them in there. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. They keep escaping and he's like, oh, got to get back in there. After a while, he'd be like, you're not protecting the city. You're a dumb piece of shit. Take your money and do something with it. Sorry, I don't want him to protect me, Greg. I got myself, all right?
There would be no Justice League without Ben Affleck.
Oh my God, you are going to keep going and you are going to make me rageful.
That is a fact. He also brought Superman back from the dead. He was dead, and he brought him back. Boom.
We're going to have this conversation another time when you've taken your medication, and I can believe every word you're saying is actual belief. We'll talk about that later. I worry about you. Right. Thank God we have poor Sophia here who's like, I did not sign on for that. All right. So we're going to have to talk about the fake thing for sure because I wonder if we can find more. And you got that from somebody who was able to say to you, like, this is, okay, we're going to talk about this later. Because my wife right now, she's trying to go to sleep and she's looking at me and she's like, but she knows she's been saying that all along too. That's weird. I have to compare notes. She just gave me the face like, I told you. All right. We'll have to talk about that. So maybe we can make time to do that. Oh, crap. Okay. For sure. I think we got to go over some stuff that you have to say for sure. Greg, what do you think about that, and what does your gut tell you?
Okay. What does my gut tell me? My gut tells me that it will never, ever, ever be proven that David Crowley is guilty.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No way, not while I'm alive.
Yeah. Based on that, I see no reason why we can't get this case renamed to undetermined, unsolved mystery, whatever, something like that.
I can tell you why.
There's no reason.
They don't like to be wrong at the Met. They don't like to be wrong. There was a show on this summer. I don't know if you guys saw it, but the show about the drowning men, actually, there was 3 of them. They did 6 episodes this summer about it on Oxygen. And the guys that have been working this case since 1997, now we're looking at literally hundreds of victims, almost thousands. I've been on the case since about 2005, so maybe 2006. So they're the best of the best at what they do. They're highly decorated veterans. They're highly decorated NYPD, the whole 9. And they would walk into medical examiners like Dr. Cyril Wecht, who's on the show. He's like a god when it comes to this. And when they walked into him and he said, this absolutely needs to become undetermined. This is not a suicide. This is a murder. Mm-hmm. And he's like, this has to be a homicide. And they went back with that proof to the place where he used to run it, to the same Pittsburgh. And the people sat there and said, we'll think about it, and then literally said no. And that's unheard of. If Wecht tells you to do something, you do it. Like, for them to sit there and go, well, I'm not wrong, is disgusting. And if they'll do that at Pittsburgh under Cyril Wecht telling them what to do, they will do it in fucking Minnesota like it's nothing. You know what I mean? It took a long time to get Chris Jenkins' death certificate. Actually, though, you know what? Oh, I just thought of that. Chris Jenkins' mother, Jan, she's amazing. She wrote a book about it, and she helped get it changed. She might have some advice. She's very good. Shit, I'm going to call her. Jan Jenkins is her name.
You call her. Call her on your Batman phone.
I'm going to. My bat phone? Really? I don't need to. I have a bat signal, you jackass. You know, it goes this way. Oh,
probably not the Adam West one, either.
My wife just goes, is that in the Batmobile? Like, is that in the Batmobile? She said, angry at you, and she doesn't get mad at that stuff ever. She liked you up until this moment, but it's because she knows that Ben Affleck's a dick. But also, unfortunately, Christian Bale's not nice either. But I'd rather have Ben Affleck over Christian Bale, and I never thought I'd say that.
Exactly.
So wow. Well, another time. Adam West is still absolutely the king. But here's the thing. So you think your gut tells you that we'll never be able to prove, they'll never be able to prove that. But at the same time, then that means that we should be able, your goal, you really want this to be changed, like on the records, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the goal. So I don't know who the medical examiner is there now, and I know Lewinsky's at Hennepin County. I wonder who it is there now. Do you ever live in Minnesota, Sophia?
No, I haven't. No.
All right. Well, Greg's afraid to fly, so I could fly over to California to pick him up. Give him some lorazepam, throw him on a flight. We could go over there to fight them together, Batman.
I'd probably drive in my Batmobile.
You drive? You drive? Okay, great. We'll get there next century.
In my Catmobile. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now you're getting a little.
I'd much prefer to drive.
Really? You guys could get killed in an accident in the car before. I come from a pilot. My dad's a pilot. I'm sorry. I'm biased. But sitting up front in the cockpit is the coolest thing ever.
I'm trying to see how far. That's like what, a 2-hour flight?
You wouldn't even feel it. You'd be out the whole time.
I could probably do that. Yeah, I could do that. No, I don't take drugs or anything like that. No.
Okay, right. I want a little lorazepam in your drink if you're getting out of control.
I wouldn't even drink wine. Just like I need to be focused. I
meant water.
And just pray and
lorazepam and water and God.
No. Just
I know you
God,
say no.
Bible. That's it. Yeah.
Actually, that's true. That's all you need. And at the end of the day, if he's going to get you on the toilet because it's their time, he's going to get you in the air. He's going to get you wherever. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's safer though than driving. But anyway, we'll make you fly, and we can go up there and just be like, "You're going to change this, or we're going to hurt you." By the way, here we're watching a game against Cleveland, and it's getting very competitive. And she actually just hit my hand out of the way when I moved a pen in front of it because she wants to watch it. We're crazy here. Do you guys like baseball out there? Baseball people? Of course. You are? Oh, you don't like the 49ers for football, do you?
Yeah, I do.
But they're
I do now.
the only ones allowed to sleep with the players. That's why they call them the Gold Rush. You know that? They're like really bad, dude.
No. Tell me who you don't like, and then I will tell you who I do like.
Who I don't? What? I don't get how that works, dude. Can we just be honest?
Yeah, no.
He wants to do the exact opposite of what you say.
I just want to know. No, I just want to know. I just want to.
You're lucky I'm not nearby so I can give you a noogie. You like the 49ers, really?
Of course.
Sophia, Texas is awesome, though. Do you have good teams in Texas? I love Texas. Good people. Are you from Texas originally?
Yes, I was born and raised in Texas.
Oh, I'm jealous. You guys are like the best state, literally. Like, you go down there and I'm like, from what I've been told anyway, that state, I feel like you guys do everything right. Like, you're like, we're going to get rid of that whole death penalty crap, and 2 credible eyewitnesses, we're going to put you in the fast lane. Good for you. Like, I watched that happen and my tears were in my eyes. I was like, that's beautiful. Like, that bad? Like, I love Texas.
We really came together after Hurricane Harvey. That really was a morale booster because a lot of people lost their homes and everything. And my aunt lost hers. My cousin lost her townhome, all because of flooding. And, I mean, it really has affected a lot of people.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do you live in the area where that was flooded too, or what happened for you?
I live in the area where the hurricane came, it hit landfall. And so
gotcha.
we evacuated.
Oh.
And we evacuated a day before it came. And then we headed up to Arkansas at that time. But my aunt and uncle, they didn't leave. They just thought, it will be a tropical storm. We've gone through many tropical storms. It was the flooding. The dams, they couldn't handle it. And there was so much rain that just dumped.
That's crazy. And I can't, it's funny that you say that. So, like, because even though it wasn't long ago, it's like afterward you guys still have that spirit. Because I'll be honest, one of the things we don't do well here is like the Boston Marathon and the bombing there, which was horrifying. And one of my friends I went to high school with is Jeff, who lost his legs, Bowman. Jeff Bowman. So when Jeff lost his legs, we all came together as a town. But then not long after we built the ramps for his house, we were all like, all right, see ya. And we don't have that. And I think that's why I love Texas so much, because you guys have heart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty clear. I don't know what Minnesota has, but it's not answers. So it's like, I feel like it's a good one. And I mean, I know you're from California out there, Greg, and you think you're great, but you guys have terrible death rules. Murder in there.
Yeah, we do.
It's awful.
Oh, yeah.
Our class is like constantly at a battle with somebody out there. It's terrible.
With Planned Parenthood, it's pretty much the big one out here.
Really?
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Well, yeah, no, I know it is.
That's
Thank
sad.
you. It is sad.
That's extremely sad.
It's sad what they do in courts for the kids too. Like Sarah Lamar's thing was a joke. Like everything about that was a joke, and the fact they haven't found her is terrible. Like they've got a lot of problems out there. But you guys also looked through the most serial killers, and I don't know how you guys did that. I would never sleep again. Like just got round and around. I would have never lived through my anxiety as a kid.
Yeah, we got
everybody.
the Zodiac.
East River Killer. Yeah, you've got all these crazy
God.
things going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, we had the Boston Strangler. That was way before my time. As far as other murderers went, I mean, you know, Boston people were just like, you're going to get thrown in the trunk of a car. When you do, we just want to know who did it. And whatever race you are, or whatever culture you are, if you're Italian, we know the Irish did it. That's all they care about here. But
yeah. Plus you got the Boston Celtics, so.
What about them? What about them now? Talk shit about the Celtics. Do you have any idea what they mean to me? I have a Larry Bird shirt. I'll kill you. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. You're stepping on a fine... Oh, my. If you start going to the Red Sox, I'm going to come through there tomorrow just to fight you.
No, you're
going to talk shit about Darryl Strawberry? What's next?
No, heck no. Darryl Strawberry? No, never. Never.
Yeah, but you have taste? I doubt it. Doubt it. You like the 49ers. Do you like any other real sports teams, though?
No. Of course,
no,
Raiders.
So.
A's, Giants, Sharks.
You poor thing. That's awful. I thought the Ducks were in Minnesota. Just kidding. Quack.
Oh, the Mighty Ducks.
I know. All right. Well, listen. I'm going to get going because out here, unfortunately, it's really late my time, and my wife is literally giving me the evil eye behind the pillow she's got over her head right now. She's interesting. God love her for putting up with me. She says hello, but she's going to bed. Listen, let's make a date if you guys are okay with that to do this again soon. We go on vacation at my mom's till the 5th. So we'll be back at the next week if it's okay with you guys. I can be flexible and we can pick a time. I'd love to hear and talk to you before I leave, actually. Sophia, about, I'm sure you've told Greg already about what you think, maybe? Has Greg already had this conversation with you? Okay. Thank you. She works with the emergency room, and she's just letting me know that she's got time there.
Good night.
Did you hear that?
Of course.
Poor thing. Poor thing. I know. God love her. She's amazing. But she's literally like has to get up in the morning to go work. Where are you working tomorrow? Yeah, she works the emergency room tomorrow. She's gonna go. But listen, I'm glad we did this, and I learned a lot. I always do. And Sophia, I think I appreciate so much everything you're giving, and I really hope I'm able to help you with whatever I can. And thank you for everything you're doing for everything else. You're like amazing.
Well, thank you so much, and I can't wait to learn from you too.
Yeah, whatever you want to know. I mean, I'll give you whatever I got. I mean, honestly, my trick is I always just think outside the box. Like, my big thing is I get a lot of information from obituaries, and people are always like, how'd you find that out? I'm like, just go through the obituaries, dude. Go to public records. Like, I'll teach you. I'll send you all my stuff, and we'll go through it, and I'll teach you. Promise.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for my freedom, dude. That's how that works. And Greg, I love you to pieces, too, but you can screw because you're Ben Affleck comments. And now my brain will have to be washed because all I can think of is you trying to go to bat suit, trying to talk your way into the back of the medical examiner's office.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
All part of my
anyway.
I seriously need a picture of that because the mental picture is killing me here.
If he does that, you're coming. I'm dragging you with me.
It's coming. Don't worry about that.
You're stuck.
Right,
Dude, you're putting it on now. You don't have a choice. All right, we got to get going. It was good to talk to you both, and I hope I talk to you guys soon.
Definitely.
Okay, good night.
Bye, loves.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.